I think that the Prince Harry revelations are very personally shattering for the new king, because it's his son, someone he was actually very devoted to, and I think still is. And so he feels very wounded, I think, by what has happened with the sort of loss of his son. I think that the book really was quite harsh on William and did a little bit to make people feel he wasn't quite the shiny, icon that they had in mind. But I think ultimately, by just continuing to work as they are, I mean, they've made the decision, we're going to ignore this, we're going to go on with our public duties, and time is on our side. And that's, of course, true.
I think it definitely opened some people's eyes to what goes on behind palace walls, for sure. But also there is, a lot of respect for the Queen, of course, and love for William and Kate and their children, and the future of the monarchy. But I certainly think that the book opened up a whole new world to people of what really goes on, and that is part of why it's so important to kind of think about modernizing the monarchy.
The royal family have an extraordinary ability to bounce back, sort of Terminator style. Just when you think they're really beaten, then they pick themselves up and keep going. There have been moments when the monarchies had been in a really bad way, and not just in the 20th century or the late 20th century, in the moments that we all know about with Diana or any of the scandals, and now with the damage that Harry's done. And I think it is damaging. If they don't enter into the fray but keep above it, they'll probably ride it out, because unfortunately I think Harry and Meghan are that story will tire. This is the story, isn't it, of Harry? What, in a couple of years' time, what we've heard is that the next volume comes out of Spare, but it will other stories will take over.
I think it certainly prompted some critical conversations about race and racism, and histories of colonialism. I mean, that's a conversation we just weren't having a couple of years ago, and I think that's partly down to kind of changing tone anyway within wider culture. So like Black Lives Matter, for example, but that's also, I think, to do with Meghan and Harry and kind of what they're saying around institutional racism, both in the monarchy and in the tabloid media.
Losing the Sussexes from the royal family is not a good thing for the royals. I mean, they're charismatic, they're communicative. Meghan is the only woman of colour in the family. It was a huge opportunity to make a statement of inclusiveness and modernity.
I think they've really missed a trick with Harry and Meghan. I think Meghan could have been absolutely brilliant, especially with another aspect of the coronation, which will be a big one, which is the Commonwealth. And we mustn't forget that Charles is crowned king of this country, but he is also king of 14 other independent nations. And they will be represented at the ceremony, and they represent Britain and its relationship with other countries, and a relationship that is not is still a complicated one.
Well, the worst scandal probably was still Princess Diana on doing the interview with Martin Bashir, where she spoke just so shatteringly about A, her terrible unhappiness, B, the terrible treatment, and C, that she thought that King Charles should not really inherit the throne. That was pretty devastating.